I'm Michael Bain and welcome to Triggered, coming to you from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios, and as always, brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors, and your ideal place for those Christmas stocking stuffers. Some of you have asked me about the Idiot 365 project. Now I call it an Idiot Sig 365 project because the idea came from Ian Harrison at Recoil Magazine. I was with Ian at the Sig 365 Everyday Championships up in New Hampshire. Ian shows me his 365, which is totally trick. Aluminum frame, compensator, it's beautiful. And he goes, I can't understand why you don't have one of these. Hopefully by the match next year, you'll have something other than like a stock Sig P365 XL. I said, break my heart, Ian. So I started putting together parts for what's going to be the gun that I take to the Sig Academy next year. You're going to be able to see the 365 Championships, of course, on Shooting Gallery on Outdoor Channel in January, and I think later in the year on Sportsman's Channel. But this is where I am so far. Since you asked, I thought I'd show you. A couple of interesting things here. First, let's disassemble the little monster. Very easy, isn't it, for a Sig? The frame itself is from Bruce Gray. I love Bruce Gray's laser engraved frames. That's, of course, Gray guns. And I've had it for a while, but I thought, well, this is kind of the ideal frame for this gun that I'm building up. And if you look inside there, I didn't buy a 365. I bought a 365 fire control unit from the Sig Custom Shop. And you can see it's gold. I think it's titanium nitrate, but it's gold. It has the single best trigger on any 365 I've ever felt, and that includes custom triggers people have put in. It's a great trigger. Obviously, the fire control unit just drops right here in the frame. And then I started thinking, I want to have a compensator at some point, but I can't quite get the one I want just yet. So I want to keep it roughly the length of an XL. That's roughly the length of an XL. Obviously, this is a 365 frame. 365 XL, about 3/4 of an inch longer. So I want its overall length to be the same as an XL. And I thought, well, I can always buy a 365 slide. And I started looking at 365 slides, and they were like, wow, 300, 400 bucks for the slide. I thought, I have a 365 slide. So I sent it to Louisiana, to the Great Primary Machine. They've done all my specific machining work for a couple of 3 years now. And they cut this slide to carry this Holosun. It's a 507K. It's the upper end of their narrow sights. It's in green because honestly, I see green better. And the reason I went with a 507K over a 407K was the 507K has interchangeable reticles. And I want the dot and the donut, especially for a gun that I'm going to shoot in a match. Because I haven't been able to get the compensator and barrel setup I want yet, I had this barrel. This barrel is from Faxon, who makes great barrels. They make them for Glock, they make them for ARs, they make them for lots of different people. But their barrels are always super. So this is a Faxon 365 XL barrel. It is fluted and in chameleon color. So far, I've been shooting this, and it shoots enormously well. And I thought, I could carry this thing. The color, by the way, is flat crimson. That is a color that I specified to Primary Machine. It's great. They do superb work. When we come back, I want to show you a couple of other things that I'm working on with the 365 platform.
This week's Triggered is brought to you by Midway USA. Just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Volquartsen Firearms. Excellence is essential. Taurus USA. Prepare and protect. Rock Island Armory Arms Corps. Home of the STK 100.
Welcome back to Triggered, where we're talking about Michael's Idiot Sig project, which is really beautiful, by the way, isn't it? I shot it a bunch yesterday. It's kind of cold and windy, but man, it shoots like a house of fire. It's accurate, it's reliable, I haven't any trouble with it. I'm really excited about where we're going with this. I wanted to show you one other thing that I did because I planned to shoot this gun in a match, and also because this is kind of an interesting point. This is a 15-round Sig Sauer magazine, right, for the 365. It's one of the things that has made the 365 such a hit. You have 10 rounds, you have 12 rounds, you have 15 rounds. And it comes with this plastic sleeve that is pretty much the same striations, grip feeling as a regular 365. But it's interesting because you'll see here it's flat across the back. It's a company called Tactical Development, and they make a replacement for this plastic sleeve, and it looks like that. Now you can see the difference there, right? The Tactical Development sleeve comes out in the back, and look at the difference here when you put it on the gun. That's the Sig regular 15 round magazine there. And then with the Tactical Development plate, or with the plastic sleeve, it fills out the grip. It makes the gun feel like, say, a full-size 320. It's really good. I don't need it on all my 15 round magazines because, you know what? The Sig ones work just fine like they are. But let's say I was going to shoot this in a match. I want that full grip. The Tactical Development sleeve does exactly that. It also will knock you up for about 24 bucks, which is a lot of money for a plastic sleeve, but it makes a huge difference in the feel of the gun. One other thing I want to show you here, we talked last week about mounting red dot sights and how everybody does it wrong. I do it wrong because we're all the time moving the sights from gun to gun to gun. So I want to make it as easy as I can. This is one of my Carry 365s. It's a Holosun 407K. It's an excellent sight, but I want you to notice how much that sight wiggles. That sight wiggles a lot, doesn't it? Well, I put 150 rounds through it a few wet days ago, almost a week ago, kind of without stopping. I was shooting drills because I had getting ready to shoot drills somewhere else. These two screws were torqued down. They were torqued down 12 inch-pounds per screw before I went out to the range. 150 rounds, they're loose. They need to be Loctited. You really need to make sure you Loctite the screws for the sight. And as I mentioned before, I think it's Loctite grade 243 is the grade you're looking for. But the last thing in the world you want to do is use red Loctite, which has to be taken off with a 4-foot crowbar and a torch. Or you don't want such a light thread locker that the force of this slide going back and forth, this little short slide slamming back and forth, will loosen it up. But I wanted to show you that even if you say, hey, I torqued it down, 150 rounds, it's loose. One other thing I wanted to mention to you is I'm on some of the 365 forums, on some of the 365 groups, say on Facebook. And every time I see somebody buy a 365, the first thing they say is, what parts do you think I need to replace? What do you guys think I should replace? Could I just say that that is profoundly the wrong question? If you just bought a 365, here's what I would suggest. Now, this is crazy talk, and you may want to say, well, that's nuts. Shoot it. Shoot it exactly the way it comes out of the box. Take it to the range, shoot it with different ammunition, shoot it until you get a feel for the gun and make your own decision on what parts you need to add. I will tell you this, on my Carry guns, the frame, that's a $25 plastic Sig frame. I like gray. It's got a red dot or green dot sight on it. This one has a green dot, my other one has a red dot on it. Otherwise, it's stock. It shoots great. So anyway, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about my favorite Henry rifle. Welcome back to Triggered, where now we're going to talk about My favorite Henry rifle. This is a Henry Long Ranger in 6.5 Creedmoor. You've seen it before, but today I took it out and shot it. It's cold and windy. I was shooting it off a Primos tripod, and it struck me again is how great this gun shoots. With 6.5 Creedmoor, I was shooting Hornady ELDX match, which is almost like cheating. The ammunition is so accurate. But I put this scope on it. And this is Lucid Optics. It's MLX, I think. It is a 4.5 to 18 first focal plane scope, mil-dot reticle. And the reason I chose it is this scope sort of treads a line between precision rifle scope, a long-range scope, and a hunting scope, like you might use a second focal plane, 3 to 18 or 3 to 14, something like that, 5 to 15. For a hunting scope, this guy kind of treads that middle ground. It will reach out. You can reach out a long way with it with an 18x scope. At the same time, you know, you're mostly going to be looking at the 4.5, 5.5, up to 8 power in hunting situations. And what I like about it, the scope weighs a little over a pound. It's not too porky. And this is important for when you're putting it on something like a Henry. I think that's an EGW rail. The rings are Seeking Precision because they're real good, both of those. And you can see on a lever action rifle, you don't have like this huge amount of rail space where you've got a lot of latitude as to how and where you mount your scope. Instead, you're pretty much stuck here. You've got roughly, I don't know, 4 or 5 inches worth of mount. So the fact that the Lucid 4x4.5 to 18 gives you a lot of options in sliding the scope back and forth is really important when you're mounting it on a limited rail space. The thing that I like best about shooting this gun is this whole package right here weighs under 9 pounds, which not bad. I mean, you're not getting down into Jeff Cooper like super light scout scope territory, but that's not chopped liver. The other thing is at trigger pull, I love the trigger pull on this gun. It is, I think, 3 pounds, 10 ounces based on a 15 trigger pull average on my Lyman digital gauge. Virtually no take up. It's very crisp. It's an ideal trigger pull for a hunting gun. With 6.5 Creedmoor, it's just a cupcake to shoot. The way I was shooting it on the Primos tripod is I was using essentially a C-clamp hole. Set the front part of the gun in the tripod, and then I'm almost like C-clamping, like I might hold it against a barricade or something in a 3-gun match. Because basically, with 6.5 Creedmoor, not much happens when you pull the trigger except a steel target rings downrange. I think this may be an ideal hunting gun for North America. I mean, obviously, you're not going to use a 6.5 against a bear, or if you do, you probably only do it once. But for almost all other game, you know, here in the United States, I think you're looking at an ideal caliber. I love lever guns. That's why I'm writing a book about one. I absolutely love lever guns. I love the idea of the box-fed magazine. I love 6.5 Creedmoor as a caliber. All in all, to me, this is an ideal package. And when I'm shooting it, and I'm shooting a 150-yard plate, you know, just clang, clang. It's not even a problem to do that. So once again, Henry has done an amazing thing with their Long Ranger. Is they've created a light, fast, truly all-American hunting rifle. The only thing you could do to make this better, Henry, Daniel, all you guys over there, Mr. Imperato, could you please make it in a takedown version? I mean, if this was in a takedown version, it would be a wicked gun to be able to carry with you around the country, maybe around the world. So anyway, the next time I see you, I will be back from Texas, where I'm going to be hunting with a different lever gun, a 4570 Marlin made by Ruger. I just saw the catalog for the new reintroduction of Marlin. It is absolutely amazing. It is everything you guys hope for. So I'm Michael Bain. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. You can find us on YouTube. Please subscribe. You can find us on Rumble. Also, please subscribe. Remember, we are brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. And it's the very place where Santa shops. We'll see you next week.